This is what happens when you make the best all-around Steph Curry build. Not only can it shoot lights out like Steph,
Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang!
it can fly above the rim like prime Derrick Rose. Oh, and don't worry, this build can play defense as well. So make sure to watch all the way through to see how I made this insane small guard build. Now, like with any small guard build, you're going to be shooting lights out.
Steph from midcourt. Curry dancing with Alexander Walker. Got it. Steph and Curry crossover three-pointer. It's good. Worse.
Now, shooting's just the beginning, because with this build, you can drive to the rim like there's no regard
For human life. Ooh, look at Rose. Oh, he changes direction and speed, and it elevates for the champ. Drives down. That's rolls it down. Wow.
But it doesn't end there. To put the cherry on top, this build can clamp up and play defense.
Oh, hell no! This nigga just blondie?
Alright, it's about time I show you guys how to actually make this build. I want to preface and say this build is mainly for ones, alright? It is for the ones, but I think, personally, this build can play any game mode. 3s, 2s, even 5s. I think it's well-rounded and can play any mode. First, we're going to start with 6'2". To be super all around like you guys saw in the highlights, I feel like 6'2 is the best height. I know there's some that make it 6'1", but like that 1 inch difference, I don't know, I'd rather go 6'2". So going 6'2", and then weight. As you can see here, we're going pretty hefty on the weight because we are going to be adding strength to this build, and I'll explain why once we get there. Now, wingspan. This is where people are probably going to be like, what is going on here? I went with 6'4". Now, me personally, I don't really care for 99.3. I'm gonna say it. I know a lot of people are saying, oh my god, 99.3 is OP. It's really good. I don't really care. One, you can get 99.3 through your takeover. I don't know why people aren't like harping on this. Like, yeah, my overall potential for my three-pointer is capped at 97, but when I have takeover, once I get to level 3, I'll have 99.3. So I stop mine here at 97. If you go any higher, then it's 95, and then I believe you miss out on some of the badges that are higher up around like 96 and I think also 97. So that's why I stopped it here at 6'4". All right, now getting to the attributes. As you guys saw, this build is pretty all around. It can shoot, drive, and defend. That's mainly the 3 pillars. So going straight down here to our driving dunk, we're setting that to an 89. That allows us to get the tier 2 like animations, I believe, for contact dunks. Because yeah, the first tier is typically 87, I believe. And then the next tier would be, yeah, as you see here, for pro contact dunks off 2, you need an 87. And then if we look at off 1 foot, you need 89. So that's why we go with 89, so you can get both off 1, off 2 pro contact dunks. And then of course you can unlock the insane just dunk packages at an 89, right? For me, I put on Derrick Rose's dunk package, and as you guys saw in the clips, it's pretty insane. So yeah, even though we're 6'2", we're flying and throwing it down. So yeah, everything else here in finishing is pretty much bare minimum to what it is tied to, right? Certain attributes are tied to others. So if I try to like say put this down, see, it's gonna shrink my driving dunk, so I leave those pretty much all at the minimum. I know some people are gonna probably look at the driving layup and say, bro, why such low driving layup? To me, I feel like driving layup, 1, is boring. Like, who wants to just finish layups? I want to dunk on people. But 2, even if you green your layups, they can be blocked. I hope people know this, but yeah, layups, even when you time them right, can still get blocked. Now, Dunks can be blocked too, don't get me wrong, but when it's a contact animation, like the defender's being put in an animation, there's no chance of them blocking it. Unless they're like super high defensive ratings and whatnot, then maybe they can block it. But when you get put in an animation, you can't, get out of it, right? Layup, it doesn't put the defender in an animation. That's why it's still possible for a defender, if they time it right in their position, to block your layup if it's even green. So that's why I prefer driving dunk, because of that aspect. All right, moving along to shooting, we have 92 on our three. As you guys saw back here on the main screen, our overall potential is to a 97, but our threshold that we're setting it to is going to be a 92. So if we look at it here with just the 92 threshold, you get most of your badges on gold, limitless, mini marksman are on silver, but we are going to cap breaker our 3-pointer. So doing build specialization, you get 2 cap breakers. That bumps it up to a 94, and that will give us limitless range in mini marksman on gold. But to get even higher tier shooting badges, you can go ahead and put even more cap breakers. You can put 3 more cap breakers to get it to 97. Like I showed, 97 is the max overall rating you can get on this build for 3. All right, free throw, as you can see, very low. I already said this is a ones build and you're not shooting free throws on ones, but you can always cap breaker this up later if you want, or just settle and find a good free throw shot that you can time. All right, looking at playmaking, pretty standard stuff here. Pass accuracy, again, low, because we are not playing, 2s, 3s, or 5s. We're playing 1s. Now you can cap breaker this. I believe if you get to 71 pass accuracy, you can get silver dimer. And to get to 71, you just need 2 cap breakers. 2 cap breakers on pass accuracy, I'm pretty sure gets you to a 72 pass accuracy. So then you can get dimer on silver, and then you can +2 it if you really want. So from silver to Hall of Fame. That's why I was saying earlier, I feel like this build can play all game modes once you get your cap breakers and you start using the +2s and whatnot, badge perks and whatnot. All right, ball handling 92, pretty standard. You do want to cap breaker this up 2, that way you can get ankle assassin on gold and then handles for days on Hall of Fame. And then speed with ball, we are going 89, so that way you can cap breaker this as well, 2 cap breakers to get it to 91 lightning launch, which would be Hall of Fame lightning launch. And then if you want to, you can +1 that to get legend lightning launch, which some people are saying it's pretty insane. I don't have it yet on my build, but yeah. All right, now moving on to the defense. As you can see, defensively, we're honestly pretty juiced. Now you guys are probably looking at this first attribute here, interior defense, and thinking, what the hell, 72 interior defense? Now the reason I put interior defense on my small guard build is because so many people are raving and talking about these 6'8s and tall builds and whatnot, and you've probably seen clips on the ones where people are abusing the post, and the only way to combat that is as a defensive player just kind of taking the chair, pulling the chair. But even that's not working, because motherfuckers are like whatchamacall from WWE, like just floating back up like nothing happened. So I was trying to look up and figure out if anyone did some tests to see what interior defense does and how it helps, and 2K26, who a lot of you probably know, did a test last year. Now I know last year, 2K25, where he showed interior defense actually helps you strength-wise when getting back down in the post.
In terms of back down actions, it works like strength. Gives you more resistance to back downs. Of course, it does the same thing with defending post-up moves like your post spins or drop steps. In here you can see at 25, 80 was so soft, but the moment I bumped it up to 99, now you can see there'll be animations like this, like 80s really buddying up Jokic.
So seeing that made me think like, dang, if I really increase my interior defense, will it help my small guard build? So I went with high interior defense, and some clips, I'll try to show them here if I can find them. I feel like it honestly was kind of helping me out. Now, most of these players that you see me guarding in this situation aren't, true like post scorers with like high post control and, 6'10 or higher. Like obviously those builds are probably gonna destroy this 6'2 build no matter how high my interior defense is. But if you're playing like 6'8s and 6'6 guards and their last resort is trying to just abuse you in the post, then I'm telling you, this interior defense does come in clutch. Now going on to perimeter defense, we are setting this to a 93. Get a lot of good defensive badges here, but we're gonna cap breaker it to 95 using 2 cap breakers, so that way we get Hall of Fame challenger. Now this build does have potential for a 99 perimeter defense, though if you do have more cap breakers, you can add another cap breaker, a third one, to get on-ball menace on Hall of Fame, as well as another cap breaker to get it to 97 to then get pick dodger on Hall of Fame. But that's just a lot of cap breakers. So for now, my main focus, which I don't even think I have from the clips you've seen, I don't think I have it applied, 2 cap breakers to get it to 95. Now going down to steel, you guys are probably looking and seeing like, bro, why is your steel so goddamn low? I'm one who I've started to realize now over the past 2Ks, steel really doesn't matter to me. Even when you have such high steel rating, if you're playing someone with a high ball handle, you're just never going to steal the ball, it feels like. Even when you position yourself correctly and you time it correctly, the ball just always seems to morph through your hand, your body, or whatever. So I'm starting to realize, like, to me, there's no point in wasting attributes on steal when I feel like other stuff matters more. Like perimeter defense, staying in front of my guy and getting bumps, that to me is actually playing defense and more solid than worrying about trying to get steals all the time. And then our block is pretty much maxed out. Yeah, our potential overall for our block rating 61, so we maxed that out. If you don't know, block is what helps you get really good contests, because the higher the block, the better your jump animation is when you're jumping to contest shots. So yeah, make sure you max this out. Rebound, all bare minimum. Didn't touch this. Again, it's a ones build, so I don't need to worry about rebound. Going over to physicals, speed is an 89. Now this is tied to speed with ball. Bring it down a little bit. It's tied to your speed with ball, as you see. And if you guys listen to what I said, we're setting that speed with ball to an 89, so then we can get lightning launch on Hall of Fame later when you cap breaker it. So speed stays at 89. Agility, I went with 85. Now I did this, I'm pretty sure, because yeah, on ball menace, you need 84 agility to ensure that you can get on ball menace on Hall of Fame. Now we still need to get our perimeter defense to a 96, but like I said, you can cap breaker that eventually, and then you'd be good to go. You also need an 85 agility for a pick dodger once you want to get that to Hall of Fame. So regardless of the badges, high agility is also really good just to help you with getting cutoffs on defense, because you can change directions a lot faster compared to having slower agility. So overall, good to have high agility. Strength, as I mentioned earlier, we are setting our weight pretty high because we are going to be adding strength to this build. We're setting our threshold here to 79, but our overall max potential for our strength is 85. And the reason being is because you need 85 to get immovable enforcer on, what is it, Hall of Fame or gold? Let me try and max it out to see. Yeah, see here it says you need 85 strength to get immovable enforcer on gold. So that's kind of why I went with it. As you can see, it also helps you on offense. Strong handle becomes Hall of Fame, which is pretty insane. So that is why I put my weight super high, because I want that potential to be able to get 85 strength so we can get those badges. Now threshold, set it to 79, because then you can cap breaker it with just 2 cap breakers. I'm pretty sure I can check again when we get to that page, but it's only 2 cap breakers and then you can get it to an 85, I'm pretty sure. And then you meet those requirements, like I said, for strong handle and then immovable enforcer if you have the perimeter. All right, and then last but not least, vertical, set it to a 78. That's bare minimum that you need for those contact dunks I was talking about that you get at an 89. So we're just leaving it right there. And that is all the attributes for this build. Again, certain areas where you see attributes being fairly low, like free throw, pass hack, steal, you can always cap breaker those up later eventually. All right, now let's talk badges, what perks I'm applying, and the cap breakers for this build. All right, so going to the cap breakers, as you guys see, I'm only a 90 overall. A lot of the clips that you guys were seeing was me when I was only like an 88 to a 90 overall. So this build's not even fully like maxed out with all the cap breakers that I want, and it was already pretty dominant. All right, but looking at the cap breakers here, as you can see, these are what the points look like. So like I said, for my 3-pointer, you get 2 from build specialization, which I did. So that's what the first 2 points are here to get it to a 94. And then I added 1 more cap breaker that I earned from like rewards here to get it to a 95. And then I want to try and get 1 more cap breaker to apply here to get my 3-pointer to a 96. Now again, I can still cap breaker it up 1 more, but just me personally, I think I'm gonna stop it at a 96, and then every new cap breaker that I get, I'm gonna put it somewhere else, because I want my other areas too to kind of get bumped up. Like for example, my handle, I still haven't done the +2 that I mentioned to get 94, which would give me the, what was it, handles for days and ankle assassin. So that's something I still need to do. Speed with ball as well, I need a +2 that to get that, the lightning launch I talked about. Defense, as you see as well, I need a +2 that, get it to 95 so I can get those defense badges. And then look at here, steal. These are what the points look like. All right, so 21 total points here, so that'd be an 84 steal. That to me is pretty good. So saving yourself and not putting it up in the builder and just cap breaking it later, I feel like is definitely the move. Strength wise, as you guys see, I did do that +2, and that gets us to the 85 that we set. So that's why as we go to our badges, you'll see some of these strength badges I have pretty high up there. But yeah, looking at the overall landscape of our badges, like I said, some of these badges can still get to higher tiers once I add the cap breakers like ankle assassin, I can get that to gold once I get my ball handling up +2. But these are all the tier 1 badges for this build, and then these are all the tier 2 badges. Not a lot of really good tier 2 badges. Immovable Enforcer, probably the best one. Timer is also in here as well. But now looking at our badge perks, this is kind of how I have it set up. Now I don't have everything unlocked yet. As you see, I still have the crew +1s that I need to unlock, but everything else I pretty much did unlock. So because we went with shooting specialization, those are the +1 and +2s that I can get down here. So I decided to go with limitless range for +2 and set shot specialist +1. So that means by default right now with my build's 3-pointer being a 95, our limitless range is only gold. So that's why +2ing it gets us to that legend limitless range. And then our set shot specialist right now is at a Hall of Fame, so +1 gets us to that legend. And then as you can see for my +2s, I'm going with mini marksman, because again, we are undersized, we are 6'2", so that kind of helps us when it comes to shooting. And then immovable enforcer. I have this thing on legend. Now something you can do with this build, which I was kind of doing early on, but decided to kind of switch it up, and I'll kind of explain here in a little bit, is set your posterizer +2. Because we stop at an 89, it means we can only get posterizer on silver, but adding it here will get your posterizer to Hall of Fame. Now the reason why I took it off and didn't keep it, as you guys saw, was simply because I wasn't really finding myself getting too many like poster contact situations. Every time I play people, like they're just so scared of the 3 that I can just run right past them, and it's a clear lane to the hoop, so you're not really posterizing anyone. So that made me realize maybe I don't need a +2 it, and it can give me the option to +2 something else that might be used more often, like a shooting badge. Something else you can also do is angle assassin as well. I believe currently mine's at silver, and then like I said, once I +2 my ball handling, I believe that will get it to gold. And then if I +2 it at that state, then this would be showing legend ankle assassin. So you could also do that as well. It really all comes down to personal preference, what it is you want to do. You could do your lightning launch, like I could be doing lightning launch on legend. I know a lot of people are saying that's pretty OP. There's just so many options, so many things you can do. It just comes down to your personal preference. But yeah, that about wraps it up. That is the 6'2" small guard build that can do it all. If you guys want to see some updated gameplay of this build where it's like fully maxed out, let me know and I can try to grind it out and see how good it really is once it has all its cap breakers applied that I was talking about earlier. But other than that, my name is November and I am out.